Really appreciate you and Ranking Member Moran and all the work you're doing with these continues as we work to make sure we are assessing our country's needs and working to live up to our responsibility to craft and pass bills to deliver the funding our communities need in a timely and bipartisan way. Keeping this momentum going is really important because there are real stakes for our families here if we let our work fall behind or cuts loom or chaos reign. None of our global competitors are debating whether they should invest in their future. And we have to remember that keeping our country safe and secure doesn't just mean a strong military. It means a fair, functioning system of justice and law enforcement protecting our communities and our rights. We cannot keep our families safe from threats like drug trafficking, including deadly fentanyl, domestic terrorism, cyber attacks, or white supremacy and the uptick in hate crimes and violent attacks without making sure that our law enforcement agencies have the resources they need to be effective and keep people safe, which is part of what makes the House Republicans' plans so alarming. You just outlined some of the impacts of that. Reading it, I see that House Republicans voted to essentially fire nearly 30,000 law enforcement personnel, and that's in just year one. Those severe budget caps would mean more cuts to our law enforcement budgets every year for the next decade. So I hope that we can all agree now is not the time to fire or furlough or freeze hiring of our drug enforcement officers, our agents, our attorneys, intelligence analysts, cyber experts, all who are working to keep our country and communities and families safe. And to do that, we have to make sure that we provide our federal law enforcement agencies with the tools they need, not blow a massive hole in their budgets. So I appreciate our witnesses being here today and having this opportunity to have this hearing, because I hope really that we can all work together to reject those severe cuts and agree to make reasonable investments in these agencies. I just have a couple questions. Senator Reid asked you about the 22% cut that has been proposed or voted on in the House. I think we all have to be cognizant of the impacts of that as we move forward. But let me ask you, Director Wray, criminal organizations are increasingly using technology for criminal activities like drug trafficking and cybercrime and violent extremism. As they continue to do more online, the United States has to adapt and anticipate and combat those threats. Does the FBI have the resources it needs to combat cyber-related threats from criminal organizations? And what are the greatest cyber threats that you see facing us today?
So I would mention a few things. So first, I strongly agree that our adversaries, not just nation states, but sophisticated transnational criminal organizations, are relying more and more on sophisticated technology. There's a lot of ways in which our budget requests ask for more resources to deal with that, but I would highlight one in particular, which is our request for enhancement that focuses on our ability to focus on the dark web and cryptocurrency, because one of the things that we're seeing is the dark web has become essentially a rogues gallery of different kinds of criminal products and services, and the payment mechanism for those deadly products and services is typically cryptocurrency. And so one place where I think the need for enhancements are particularly acute is to help us grow our scale to deal with those issues. We just had last week Operation Spectre, I think it was, that was the largest ever seizure of fentanyl trafficked on the dark web. And that's coming on the heels of, we need more operations like that to dismantle the darknet marketplaces and to go after the cryptocurrency that is after all, these are profit-motivated adversaries. And so we've gotten better in cybercrime and on cyber threats at chasing the crypto and seizing the crypto, but we need to be able to scale that because the threat is metastasizing.
Administrator Milgram, in a recent press release, the DEA stated that in Operation Last Mile, which targeted drug trafficking by the Sinaloa and the Jalisco cartels, more than 1,100 cases involved social media and encrypted communications platforms. How has the DEA adapted to the use of technology by these criminal drug networks?
Senator, it's a really important question because we are in the process of adapting and transforming to do just this. What we have seen is that the drug cartels, as Director Wray has said, they have evolved since really 2014, 2015 with the onset of fentanyl. They are nimble, they are deadly, and they are literally putting fentanyl onto our streets and all over social media in a way that we had never seen before. And so in Operation Last Mile, we talk about social media is solving the last mile problem for the cartels. They are getting the drugs into people's hands think about hundreds of millions of Americans have cell phones and they have social media accounts. And so within a matter of clicks, they are marketing oftentimes things they're fentanyl, but they're marketed as if they were real prescription medicines like oxycodone. And just to tell you one story, one of our operations and investigations from Last Mile, just down the road from here in Washington, D.C., Diamond Lynch was a 20-year-old mom, and she took what she thought was a Percocet pill. It was fentanyl. She died. And she was, at the time, planning her son's first-year-old birthday party. She never saw that day. Our agents working with...
She bought it online?
She did not buy it online. The online part comes in a minute. So she purchased it through a dealer that she knew. Our agents and the local police worked together to identify that dealer. They then traced it back to the source of supply in Los Angeles that was working with other suppliers on Instagram. We then traced it back directly to the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico. And that's the kind of work we are now transforming our agency to be able to do, to trace everything and link it back to the cartels and to identify the entire global supply chain, including that supply chain across the United States, that distribution network that is leading to the deaths of 107,735 Americans between August of 2021 and August of 2022.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for taking me out of order.